Hi everybody, it's Lori here today from Platique, my latest upgrade to the channel. We have combined two words, plot and critique, to combine and make the name. For the channel, I wanted something a little bit unusual and different, and to really focus on some of the changes that I will be making over the course of 2025. I want to incorporate not just books, but some reviews of movies, TV shows, and pop culture, things that are interesting to me and that I hope you all will find very interesting as well. So to kick it off, what we're going to do today is a good old-fashioned book haul. Some books that I have grabbed as part of the Black Friday after Christmas sales. There was a big sale with Barnes & Noble where they did the 50% off hardcover books. So I definitely took advantage. I have been looking at book reviews and a lot of the booktubers that I really enjoy here on YouTube to pick some books that I thought would be really exciting to add to my physical TBR. Over here, it's getting a little crowded. Okay, so there are 14 books that I physically purchased and 2 books that I picked up from my library. We're gonna start with one of the books, the only book that I have finished in this pile so far, but it goes with one of the library books, which is a sequel to this book. So let's start there. We'll get the library books out of the way first and continue. So the first book in the haul is one that I've already finished, and you'll hear me talk about it at the end of the month wrap up. This is Chasing the Boogeyman from Richard Chizmar. And so this is really fashioned after a true crime type of story, but it is a fictional account. I will say there are actual facts that are included. The author, it's interesting, he inserts himself into the story. He includes some facts about his hometown, that type of thing. But the murders in here are not real, they're fictionalized. I'm really excited to share this with you. And because of that, I decided to grab Becoming the Boogeyman from my local library. Now, it's only available, I believe, in hardcover at this point. It hasn't been released in paperback. I don't think so. And so I'm not sure. When I decided not to purchase it, I was like, is this going to be a book that I want on my shelves? And I was like, I'm not sure. So I did check. My library had it. I got it within a day. It was no big deal. I am glad. You can see, I am, 3/4 of the way through the book. And so I am glad that I did pick it up at the library. I don't think this is going to be something that I'm going to want on my shelves, but am I enjoying it? Yes. And you'll have to wait for my final review. But this is after the killer is caught. Some events start happening in the town again. It's kind of the fallout of all of that media attention from the first case. Our author, who did write a book as part of the first book and subsequent second one, the fallout from that of being famous, and then the word copycat starts being thrown about. So that is what's happening in this particular book, and I'm excited to review it with you at the end of the month. Okay, so the second library book that I did pick up is I'm Not Done With You Yet from Jessie Q. Santanto. I have read a few books from her. It's very shiny, sorry. The library covers tend to be very shiny. I read a few books from her. Is it Dial A for Aunties? And then there was a follow-up, a sequel. I can't remember exactly what that was. I remember, I'll pop it up here. My favorite from her was Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. I absolutely loved that book. So if you haven't had a chance to pick that one up, I highly recommend it. That is the reason I decided on this one. The Aunties series, however you say it, is very, very quirky. A little bit too much hijinks and just silly adventure type things. Anything that could go wrong, it totally does. So it's a little bit too much, like it's totally unbelievable and silly. I guess if I was in the right mood, knowing what it is, maybe that would be something that I would really enjoy. But for the most part, not really my style. Seems like much more of a dark take. Jane's unhappy, a struggling mid-list writer whose novels barely command 4 figures. She feels trapped in an underwhelming marriage, just scraping by to pay a crippling Bay Area mortgage for a house, a life she's never really wanted. There's only ever been one person she cared about, one person who truly understood her, Thalia, Jane's best and only friend, nearly a decade ago during their creative writing days at Oxford. It was the only good year of Jane's life. Cobblestones and books, damp English air, heady wine and sweet cider, and Thalia, endless Thalia. But then, one night, ruined everything. The blood-soaked night that should have bound Thalia to Jane forever, but instead made her lose her completely. Thalia disappeared without a trace, and Jane has been unable to find her since, until now. So this sounds really interesting. It has been compared a little bit here, at least on the blurb on the cover, to Gone Girl. I don't know if it's going to reach that level, but we'll see. I was kind of excited and glad I was able to grab that from my library so quickly. The rest of these are in no particular order. They were the result of falling down some rabbit holes. You know how that goes. You're looking for a particular book or just browsing Goodreads, whatever the case might be. And sometimes you see other people's reviews. I added them typically to my Goodreads if I'm watching a YouTube video and it sounds really up my alley or something that I'm going to enjoy. And so some of these are because of that. Others were on sale. I read the blurb and was like, oh, that sounds good. So here we go. This first one is James Comey, Central Park West. It is a crime novel. And so this one says, the gripping crime fiction debut from former FBI Director James Comey takes readers deep inside the world of lawyers and investigators working to solve a murder while navigating the treacherous currents of modern politics and the mob. When a years-long case against a powerful mobster finally cracks and an unimpeachable witness takes the stand, federal prosecutor Nora Carlton is looking forward to putting the defendant away for good. The mobster, though, has other plans. So this sounds like a legal type thriller with the mob, something I tend to enjoy. We'll see how that goes. Caught my eye. That's a little bit different than what I typically read, and so we'll see. This is Charlie, is it Donnelly? Long Time Gone. I have heard a few people talking about this one and sounded really interesting. It says, when Dr. Sloan Hastings submits her DNA to an online genealogy site for a research assignment, her goal is to better understand the treasure trove of genetic information contained on ancestry websites. Brilliant and driven, Sloan is embarking on a fellowship in forensic pathology, training under the renowned Dr. Livia Cuddy. Sloan has one reservation about involving herself in the experiment. She's adopted. Grateful for a loving home, she's never considered tracking down her biological parents. The results of her search are shocking. Sloan's DNA profile suggests her true identity is that of Charlotte Margolis, aka Baby Charlotte, who captured the nation's attention when she mysteriously disappeared, along with her parents, in July 1995. Despite an exhaustive search, the family was never seen again, and no suspects were named in the case. This sounds amazing, and with all of the popularity of the ancestry websites and DNA tests that are on the market, sounded absolutely perfect, and I could see how something like that would happen. Mostly unusual, but just never know. So that really intrigued me and was like, yep, check, we're buying it. All right, the next one is one by a favorite author, at least past favorite author. I used to read her a lot. I really enjoyed her series, Rizzoli and Isles, which was a TV show for a while. I really enjoyed that. She has started a newish series, and the first one is called The Spy Coast by Tess Gerritsen. So very intrigued for this. It says, once a spy, always a spy. Former spy Maggie Bird came to the seaside village of Purity, Maine, eager to put the past behind her after a mission went tragically wrong. These days, she's living quietly on her chicken farm, still wary of blowback from the events that forced her early retirement. But when a body turns up in Maggie's driveway, she knows it's a message from former foes who haven't forgotten her. Maggie turns to her local circle of old friends, all retirees from the CIA, to help uncover the truth about who is trying to kill her and why. I really enjoy spy fiction, love it. Anything espionage, spies, absolutely adore it. Can't get enough. And this sounded absolutely perfect. I think this is kind of jumping on the train of popularity of the, what is it, the Thursday Murder Club from Richard Osman. I didn't like that as much as a lot of people really did. I thought there was way too much going on in that first book. I could see how people really enjoy the characters. I may pick up the sequel. I won't buy it, but I may pick up the sequel just to see if it is any better for me, but we'll see. I'm not sure. This one sounds really intriguing, and I really do like this author, so very excited. The next one I am seeing everywhere. So I think it was a book, one of those book boxes. I can't even think what it is now. It's the blue one. But anyway, you all know what I'm talking about. And so I know it was a selection. I think a ton of people got it. I'm seeing people talk about this. I think it was on some of their best of the year reviews, and very excited to get my hands on this one. Listen for the Lie by Amy, is it Tintera here? I believe this is a mixed media type, so I may pick up the audiobook to listen at the same time. I've heard that's absolutely fantastic, so I may do that as well. I have some credits, and so I may go ahead and do that. It said, what if you thought you murdered your best friend? And if everyone else thought so too, and what if the truth doesn't matter? Lucy and Savi were the golden girls of her small Texas town, pretty, smart, and enviable. Lucy married a dream guy with a big ring and an even bigger new home. Savi was the social butterfly loved by all, and if you believe the rumors, especially popular with the men in town. But after Lucy is found wandering the streets, covered in her best friend Savi's blood, everyone thinks she's a murderer. It's been years since that horrible night, a night Lucy can't remember anything about, and has since moved to LA and started a new life. But now the phenomenally huge hit true crime podcast Listen for the Lie and its two good-looking hosts, Ben Owens, have decided to investigate Savi's murder for the show's second season. Lucy is forced to return to the place she vowed never to set foot in again to solve her friend's murder, even if she is the one who did it. The truth is out there if we just listen. Whew, sounds really, really good. Super excited. Okay, let me reach across here. This is another one that I have seen everywhere. Very excited. So this one, Delilah S. Dawson, pretty thin one. Guillotine, is that it? And let's read a little bit of the blurb. It is so pretty. I mean, look at the inside of this. So pretty. Thrift fashionista Des Lane doesn't want to date Patrick Ruskin. She just wants to meet his mother, the editor-in-chief of Nouveau magazine. When he invites her to his family's big Easter reunion at their ancestral home, she's certain she can put up with his arrogance and fend off his advances long enough to ask his mother for an internship someone with her pedigree could never nab through the regular submission route. But when they arrive at the enormous island mansion, Des is floored. She's never witnessed how the 1% lives before in all their ridiculous, unnecessary luxury. But once all the family members are on the island and the ferry has departed, things take a dark turn. For decades, the Ruskins have made their servants sign contracts that are basically indentured servitude. And with nothing to lose, the servants have decided their only route to freedom is to get rid of the Ruskins for good. That sounds diabolical and very intriguing. Okay, the next two kind of go together. I have been wanting this for a while. It's been on my wish list. I decided to just grab it. Wasn't as easy to track down. Thankfully, I had saved it. It didn't even come up in the search for this author. I'm not 100% sure why, but I wanted to have these packaged together. This is Be Sure, the Wayward Children books 1 through 3, all packaged together in this novel. I wanted to have all 3 of them so I could reread them as I am getting through the series. I am going slowly and enjoying them. They are absolutely wonderful. Do yourself a favor. If you were like me and really kind of, I don't know, I must have had my head buried in the sand somewhere, missed these for quite a while, and then one day I heard probably Kayla talking about it because she does a reread annually, and decided, what the heck are these about? Grabbed one, and the rest is history. These are absolutely wonderful. They are shorter. This is the 5th book in the series, and so you can see that these are the first 3 books all compiled together, and it's the size of, many other books. So I decided to grab this so I could do a reread each year. Didn't have to wait for the library to get a hold and very excited to have this one. And then I picked up the 5th book. So this is the one that I am on now. I will go back and grab the 4th one. I'm going to see. They probably don't ever go on sale, honestly. But I'll see if I can grab it on a sale or use some points or something from Barnes & Noble and grab it. But this is It's Come Tumbling Down. And I really don't want to read too much of this. It continues the arc of Jack and Jill from Every Heart a Doorway and down among the sticks and bones. The reason I don't, the blurb gives away what happens in the first book, and I really don't want to do that. So just know this is a continuation of that series. These are very emotional, heartfelt, you laugh, you cry, all of those things in a tiny little book, and I think about them often. And so it's a book that really kind of sticks with you, especially these two characters, Jack and Jill. But in any case, I highly recommend, if you haven't picked up the series at all, start with Every Heart a Doorway and go from there. A lot of them you can kind of take out of order, just read a blurb on it and see if it's a character that you've seen before. But highly recommend and very excited. All right, another book that I think, I'm not sure if this has mixed media in it or not, but it is from the creator or the co-host of the Morbid True Crime podcast. So I'm not sure if this is one of the books that came out in the last couple of years that people have said it's better for the author to have stuck to their co-hosting their podcast. I'm not sure or not. Interesting. But it sounded good to me. So this is The Butcher and the Wren. I did start a couple of pages of it, but I probably will go back and reread the start. I've got my handy little bookmark in there. It says, lurking in the Louisiana bayou, a methodical serial killer is hard at work completing his most harrowing crime yet. But forensic pathologist Dr. Wren, is it Muller or Mueller, is the best there is, armed with an encyclopedic knowledge of historical crimes and years of experience working in the medical examiner's office. She's never encountered a case she can't solve until now. Case after case is piling up on Wren's examination table, and soon she is sucked into an all-consuming competition with a brutal murderer getting more brazen by the day. An addictive read with straight from the morgue details only an autopsy technician could provide. The Butcher and the Wren promises to ensnare all who enter. I believe there's a sequel to this one as well. I love anything that is like autopsy technician or forensic pathologist, that type of thing. All right, next I have 2 books that go together. I could not resist grabbing both of them at the same time. I thought, well, if I can get one, because they'll nicely match on my shelves. A lot of times they come out in paperback, and then you've got one hardcover and a paperback. So I decided, let's just pull the trigger and get both of these. I have been looking for something that is reminiscent or similar to Dan Brown, the Da Vinci Code. So I have not been able to find something that had the same feeling. Just absolute craziness, the travel, all of the clues. It was a lot, I will say. There was a lot going on in those, but I really enjoyed how smart it was. Kept me on the edge of my seat. I hadn't at the time seen anything like that. So I'm interested in things along those lines that are kind of puzzle types, and that's why, this is called The Puzzle Master, and was highly reviewed, so sure, of course. It says, all the world is a puzzle, and Mike Brink, celebrated and ingenious puzzle constructor, understands its patterns like no one else. Once a promising Midwestern football star, Brink was transformed by a traumatic brain injury that caused a rare medical condition, acquired savant syndrome. The injury left him with a mental superpower. He can solve puzzles in ways ordinary people can't. But it also left him deeply isolated, unable to fully connect with other people. Everything changes when Brink meets Jess Price, a woman serving 30 years in prison for murder who hasn't spoken a word since her arrest 5 years earlier. When Price draws a perplexing puzzle, her psychiatrist believes that it will explain her crime and calls Brink to solve it. What begins as a desire to crack an alluring cipher quickly morphs into an obsession with Price herself. She soon reveals that there's something more urgent and more dangerous behind her silence, thrusting Brink into a hunt for the truth. So excited about this one. And the follow-up to it is the puzzle box. I don't know if you can see that dragon on the cover. I think it's just absolutely gorgeous. And this one looks like it's set in Japan. It is the year of the wood dragon, and the ingenious Mike Brink has been invited to Tokyo to open the legendary dragon box. The box was constructed during one of Japan's most tumultuous periods, when the samurai class was disbanded and the shogun lost power. In this moment of crisis, the emperor locked a priceless imperial secret in the dragon box. Only 2 people know how to open it: the emperor himself and the box's sadistic constructor, and both died without telling a soul what was inside. Every 12 years since then, in the year of the dragon, the imperial family has held a clandestine contest to uncover its contents. The box is devilishly difficult, filled with tricks, booby traps, poisons, and mind-bending twists. Every puzzle master who has attempted to open it has died in the process. And so, of course, our puzzle master here is going to go ahead and try to open it, and I'm sure lots of intrigue and hijinks ensue. That's getting too high there. All right, 3 more. Another book that I have seen. Actually, these last 3 I have seen talked about quite a bit here on BookTube. This is The Wedding People. So what I have heard about this one, I'm not going to go ahead and read this whole thing, is that our main character here goes ahead and checks herself into a hotel that she doesn't realize has been fully booked for an upcoming wedding. So she is the only person there that is not part of the wedding party or the guests and everybody attending this wedding. And the hotel staff just assumes that she is part of all of this group. I'm not going to go ahead and read the whole thing, but I really did like this little blurb on the back. It says, "The Wedding People is a wickedly funny and deeply satisfying novel about a woman with nothing to lose, armed with a green dress, some chocolate wine, and a coconut pillow, cut loose to cause delightful mayhem. It's a story of lovers who turn into strangers, strangers who turn into friends, and the weird and wonderful connections that make us feel truly alive. I love it." Sold. Next one is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. I am hearing everybody talk about this one. This is very kind of chunky. Now, when I look at the page count, I mean, it doesn't seem ridiculous. I have definitely read some historical fiction. Historical fiction tends to be a lot longer, for me anyway, the ones that I tend to pick up, I guess. But it just feels like a really hefty book in probably a lot of different ways, but we'll get into that. It says, when a teenager vanishes from her Adirondack summer camp, 2 worlds collide. Early morning, August 1975, a camp counselor discovers an empty bunk. Its occupant, Barbara Van Laar, has gone missing. Barbara isn't just any 13-year-old. She's the daughter of the family that owns the camp and employs most of the residents. And this isn't the first time a Van Laar child has disappeared. Barbara's older brother also vanished 14 years ago, never to be found. As a panicked search begins, a thrilling drama unfolds, chasing down the layered mysteries of the Van Laar family and the blue-collar community living and working in its shadows. Moore's multi-threaded story invites readers into a rich and gripping dynasty of secrets. Be like a good secret. And the last one, speaking of secrets, Riley Sager always has some really good twists and turns in his books. I really enjoy them. I know that they are hit or miss for quite a few people, but I saw this one and absolutely, he is a auto read author, if not an auto buy for me. So it says, in the latest jaw-dropping thriller for New York Times bestselling author Riley Sager, a man must contend with the long ago disappearance of his childhood best friend and the dark secrets lurking just behind the safe confines of his picture-perfect neighborhood. So we have a little bit of a theme here. We have some people that have gone missing. Interesting. I must have been on a missing person kick when I was picking up some of these books. So yeah, I'm not going to go ahead and read the whole blurb. Riley Sager, again, it's been getting mixed reviews from what I have seen. Some people really enjoyed it. Other people absolutely hated it. So who knows? You just never really know. I mean, you can try to kind of pattern some of your book choices based on some of the YouTubers that you enjoy that have similar tastes to you, but it doesn't always work. I mean, we all like different things. And truly, I have found it really depends on the type of mood I'm in. At least for me, at the time that I pick up the book, And I might feel a different way if I read the same book 5 years later, or even a year later, or a few months later. It just really depends. So all that to say, if any of these sound good and you're interested, feel free to grab them from your local library, used book sale, anywhere that you can pick them up. So whatever makes the most sense to you and you want to pick some of these up, I will be reviewing these on upcoming TBRs and can't wait to dive in. So it was great chatting with all of you today. I will be back very soon with a new TBR game that I have designed is probably a better word, designed, and a nice board, some great prompts that I'm very excited to share with all of you. I will be wrapping up my month of the books that I have reviewed. I'm trying not to hold myself to a huge, like, high standard, or one that is not going to be achievable or make me go into a reading slump like I was in 2024. Trying to be kind to myself and read when I want to and not over pressurize myself. In any case, I'm excited to share the books that I have read with you. Any TV or movies that I go see, I'm happy to share that with all of you. Let me know if you have any suggestions that you would like to see me review on the channel, and I will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.